You mentioned change, and obviously we've talked about the Breakfast Club. You know, you guys have just done such a good job of, I think, being trendsetters that said that we could do that, that we could drive narratives, we could drive conversations, we can also educate and entertain. But that is changing too. And I know a lot of times with anxiety, with those different things, change brings that along. And you've mentioned the evolution of Charlamagne the God, or the evolution of Leonard. How are you guys dealing with what will be changing with the show?
I honestly think that's just the natural course of things, man. Like, you know, when you look at radio, the radio business, or TV, the TV business, any collective that's been around as long as we've been around, there's gonna be changes, you know, to the cast. Like a couple of years ago when my contract was up, people thought I was leaving. And I was, you know, exploring some other things just to see, you know, what else I may have wanted to do. And so Angela leaving, that's like the natural course of a show that has been on this long. Like there's radio shows like Elvis Duran, salute to Elvis Duran, that's my guy. Elvis been around for a long time. But if you look at that show, the show started off as like the morning zoo. Right. And it was like Elvis and another guy. And that guy ended up leaving. Now he's having success. I can't remember his name, sadly, but he's having a lot of success, you know, in radio. And then he's had other cast members come through, like, you know, Carolina and, you know, Greg T. Like these people they've gone on to do their, like Greg T and Carolina do their own radio show on KTU now. Sarah and Anthony used to be on Elvis Duran's show. They went off and did their own morning show. So if you've been around long enough, you're gonna constantly see these changes. And I hope for the same thing for the Breakfast Club. I hope that, you know, Angela Yee, she's going to do her show, Way Up with Angela Yee. It's a spinoff of the Breakfast Club. She comes on right after us in most of these markets. I think she got like 30 markets. So she's gonna be on 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We get the opportunity to bring in, you know, some new talent and see where that goes. Yo, Envy might want to go off and do something else one day. I might want to go off and do something else one day. But as long as that brand, the Breakfast Club, is still there and we can constantly bring in, you know, new players that could fill those spots, I just think that's the natural course of any show. I think that, you know, we're not used to seeing it in our community because we don't really see the black shows stay around that long.
Right.
Like, but Tom Joyner definitely had cast changes.
Yeah.
Doug Banks, God bless the dead, he definitely had cast changes. So it's just like, this is the first time our generation is seeing it, so it might be a shock to people, you know, but I just think it's the natural course of things.
Since we're talking about change, I want to read one of your quotes. You said, I made some mistakes that I can't change, but I changed so I can't make the same mistakes.
Absolutely.
Speak to that.
It's real. You know, when I talk about, you know, the best apology, you know, being changed behavior, right? It's like, I do want to be a better version of myself at all times, you know? Like, I do want to be a more healed version of myself because I want to raise trauma-free kids. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to pass more on to my kids than just trauma. You know, when I have these conversations with my dad, and my dad tells me about all the issues that he dealt with, the substance abuse issues and the mental health issues, that helped me give him a lot of grace because I was holding a lot of animosity towards him, but I realized he was just doing the best he could with what he had at the time. And I think what our generation doesn't realize a lot is that we are the first generation that has the luxury of healing. Generation before us, man, they was on the, you know, good time shit. They was scratching and surviving, you know what I mean? Like, my dad and my mom didn't have time to stop and breathe.
Right.
You know? They had to raise these 5 kids, you know? So it's like, for me, we got the luxury of healing, so I want to take full advantage of that and constantly be a better version of myself. And I always think about that Muhammad Ali quote, man. Muhammad Ali said, yo, the person at 50 that's thinking the same way at 20 wasted 30 years of his life. And we all know people like that. We all can go back to our collective hometowns and see people that we went to school with doing the same shit that we was doing when we was
way back
out there with them way back when. That shit is heartbreaking.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, yo, I constantly want to just be a better version of myself, constantly challenging myself. I think about me at 54. I'm 44 now. I think about me at 54. I think about me at 64 because I see people out there that are constantly bettering themselves at that age. You look at Steve Harvey and Marjorie when they step out. Right. You know what I mean? Plus they got 20-something-year-old kids that work with them and do the business with them. Like, that's fly to me. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about being 60-something years old, surrounded by all my young queens, you know what I mean? My oldest in her 30s, the other 3 in their 20s, and I'm like, what's up? We got the family business to family legacy going on. So it's just like, I just constantly want to be a better version of myself. So when I say change, that's what I'm doing, the work to constantly evolve.